How do writers revise their own work? In this lesson, you will learn to revise by reading like a proofreader and asking questions. Here's the prompt we're going to be working with. Remember, it's concentrated on W.B. Du Bois' text and whether we support or refute his main claim. Here we are in the writing process. First, we read closely and analyzed. Then we generated and planned, drafted and revised, and now we are editing and publishing, and that's where this lesson will focus. So, since before you became an 11th or 12th grader, you probably drafted a lot and then received a lot of assistance, maybe from the teacher or from your peers in the revision process, proofreading. But as you were becoming ready to write in college or professionally, the Common Core standards and your teachers in the world are going to expect you to be able to revise your own work. A writer wears two hats. One's the drafting hat. Now, you should not edit while you're drafting. You just go on and write without censoring so that you're not developing writer's block. You can fix those things later when you put on your editor's hat. And then you take a close look at your writing and looking at it really with a critical eye. Now, a common mistake some writers make is just to run spell check and say the draft is complete. But just as good readers read a text more than once, a good writer will read and reread their own work, own writing before publishing it. Now, in this lesson, we're going to read the essay from the bottom to the top. Then we're going to ask, is each sentence written clearly? And we're going to revise. Then we're going to read the essay from the top to the bottom, and we're going to ask, is this significant and appropriate for my audience? And we're going to revise. So here's a piece from our first draft or second draft of our essay, maybe even the third draft, and we're just going back through. I believe that Du Bois makes a virtuous suggestion. However, it doesn't address the problem he set up in his outline. African Americans are hidden behind a veil. Now let's look at from bottom to the top. And the reason that we do this is because when you just are scanning it, you're writing from the top to the bottom in the order that you normally read. Your eye sometimes tends to see what you meant to say and not what's actually on the page. So when we look from the bottom to the top, we'll have an easier time with our proofreader eye to pick out the things that are wrong. And right here I see, however, I'm like, oh, it needs a comma, right? And then there could be another comma right here. He set up his outline, comma. Then let's look at the second one. I believe that Du Bois makes a virtuous suggestion. And I think that that one's okay. Now let's read it from the top to the bottom. I believe that Du Bois makes a virtuous suggestion. However, it doesn't address the problem he set up in his outline. African Americans are hidden behind a veil. Right away I see that I. Remember, we're trying to write this for like a formal tone, an academic tone. We don't want to use I. We want to use third person. He, she, the author. So let's see if I can fix it. There is virtue in the ideals that Du Bois suggests. Oh, then I have doesn't. Now, in a formal paper, remember, we don't want to use contractions. We want to just say does not. And then we have this hidden behind a veil. And there's nothing wrong with that exactly. It's just that now, I think I can make it better. I think I can make it more powerful. Um, yeah, like, is there a better way to say it? So let's look at this rewrite. However, it does not address the problem that he set up to outline. African Americans have to plod darkly on in resignation behind their veil. And in this way, I'm using another piece of evidence proving that I understand, have read deeply into the text, and also it's just more powerful to, instead of being just hidden, to plod darkly on in resignation. And now that I'm looking at the two together, at the first piece, there is virtue in the ideals, I think I can make that more specific when I'm asking, like, is this, um, appropriate for my audience? If they haven't read it or I want to, again, prove that I'm reading deeply, I can be more specific. And when I look at the two of them together, I'm thinking, I believe I can combine these two sentences into one. So let's see what that would look like. There is virtue in the ideals, liberty, political power, and education that Dubois requests. However, it does not bring to light the ways to eliminate the problems that he set out to outline, the factors that cause African Americans to plod darkly on in resignation behind their veil. And now that I have seen it and revised it, look, 1, 2, 3 times, I think that I'm finally ready to publish this part. So here we were in the writing process. We really concentrated on editing and getting our work ready to be published. In this lesson, we read the essay from the bottom to the top. We asked, is each sentence written clearly, and revised? We read the essay from the top to the bottom, and then we asked, is this significant and appropriate for my audience, and revised. In this lesson, you have learned to revise by reading like a proofreader and asking questions.